so this is a tutorial of how to do circumference changes. You'll notice that the project has already been centered, the hole has been put in, and we've got even sides and a flat top. Can you demo collaring super fast, just so we can make sure that top is nice and flat? There we go. So the left fingers are bracing, and then the top fingers come down across the top. You always want to dip your fingers in water just to make sure that they're nice and wet, because what does friction do? It makes the project come off, right? It breaks our clay. We want to avoid friction. You'll also notice that on the inside, there's not water hanging out. You want to avoid water on the inside. Every time we put water on our project to make sure there's no friction, water will hang out in the middle. We then got to take our sponge. So it's a constant, like, adding water for where you're going to touch, and then taking it out of the middle with the sponge, and then adding more water, taking it out with the sponge. Okay, this project right here is not 100% centered, and I'm glad that it's not, because when you guys throw, it's likely it's not going to be 100% centered. And so today, you'll see some of the things that we're going to need to do when the project is not 100% centered. All right, the more that you practice, the more percentage that will increase, right? And that it may actually be 100% centered eventually. When you get better in like a year from now, or maybe 2 weeks from now, maybe you're gonna go fast. But it is okay to do this project and to do the circumference changes when it is not 100% centered. All right, so first thing that we wanna do is slow the wheel down just a little bit more, okay? Each wheel is just a little bit touching. Okay, that is the perfect speed right there, okay? And what we're gonna do with our hands, and I'm gonna put my hands here and kind of show first. This is the butterfly, okay? The left hand is gonna go on the inside of the project, the right hand is gonna go on the outside. And you wanna make contact at 4 o'clock. So Fabian will be touching the clay at about here, that's 4 o'clock. This would be 3, that's too high. This would be like 5 or 6, that's too low. Right in there is the spot that we want to be able to touch the clay. And it's likely that your hands are gonna start to migrate and move up as you're doing this. So always keep that in the back of your head. Just like, oh, keep my hands in the right spot. I like to call it the Goldilocks zone, the just right zone. So constantly be checking, where are my hands at? Where are my fingers at? And then you also wanna make sure they're directly across from each other, right? If one hand is up here and this one's down here, it's not gonna work right. It's gonna get off center. Okay? If one is above, that's not going to work. If one is low and one is above, that's probably not going to work if it's significantly different. Okay? Now with your hands, what you're going to do, when we pull straight sides, we pull straight up. Go ahead. Okay, so right now your fingers are directly across from each other. And we go very, very slow. Notice how he's going to pause in places where it's thick, like right there. Okay, and then slowly move up again. Get close to the top, but not all the way to the top, and then collar before you go back again. Okay. There we go. Beautiful. All right, so go ahead and pause there. Thanks, and collar it. I'm going to show you another way of collaring too that's a little bit more delicate. Is you just take these fingers here and this one right there, and you just go like this. And that's it, right? Nice and easy. And when your project is thin, because it's probably not going to be this thick, it's probably going to be thinner when it's this big, because this is a lot of clay that was put here, way more than what you're going to work with. It's harder to work with big clay. It's flattening out the bottom right now. So that's what he's doing on the inside, it's flattening out the bottom. But when you have thinner clay, collaring delicately is important to know how to do as well. All right, now for circumference changes. To explain the process, okay? Your fingers will be directly across from each other. Okay? To pull straight sides, we go straight up because they're next to each other. To pull out, I'm gonna put the outside hand underneath, this one a little bit above, and I'm gonna move my hands out like this, okay? Then I'm gonna go straight up, so they're exactly across from each other again. Then if you wanna come in on the top, the inside hand goes this way, and this one goes a little above it, and you pull your hands towards the inside. Okay? So let's see if first we can have the outside go out a little bit. Okay, and then straighten it. And then in towards the top. Okay, and then collar. Do you guys see how a slight change started to happen there? Just so you guys can see too. Each time it's just a little bit, so it's starting to go out and then in. Go ahead and try again. Out even more. Okay. Slow the process of the pulling the hands up. Got a little bit of a spiral in there. And then in. And he's now using the side of his finger right here, which is great. Like, you can use the side of your finger right there too to start to move it in. Dip in water because I feel a little bit of friction there. Okay. And he's really good at controlling his left hand. So what he just did right here, where he put his left hand here on the side, I don't recommend doing that, okay, when you're first learning. Because when your hand is over here on this side, and the curvature is coming in, the spinning is coming around this way, it can get your hands really, really easily. And if it makes an indent in there and you don't have really good control of your hands, that can happen and ruin your project in an instant. He's had a lot of practice, so he can do that successfully. Okay? For you guys, recommend only touching over on the right hand side. Okay. All right. Is there an air pocket?
Yeah.
All right. You can, when there's air pockets, you can puncture it with a needle tool and then push from either side and squeeze it out as if you're squeezing like a pimple or something. You're just gonna squeeze it from both sides, and it sometimes makes an actual sound too when it pops, and sometimes water squirts out of it. Yeah, gross, right? All right. So the last thing that I want to show is something called choking. Okay? And to do this, and I'm actually going to sit down and do this because this is a really easy thing. It doesn't take a whole lot of pressure to do. Look at that nice shape there that's starting to come in. I mean, out. Choking is where you want to bring the top. You bring the top in and make the top more narrow. Sometimes coming in is more challenging to do than going out. So when you get it to a shape, hey, fantastic. Thank you. I'm going to do the next phase. It's also easier to do when you want clean hands too. So this part right here and this part right here are going to be touching the side. Okay, so embracing the points of contact, heels on the floor, elbows on my knees. Okay, and I'm just going to go in. What I'm doing is putting just a little bit of pressure. Anytime I start to feel it dry up, I pause instantly. You guys notice how it's not a circle at the top and my hands are on it? The pressure is forming the shape that I'm making my hands here. I'm going to pull it in just a little bit more. I just tried my nail instead of a needle tool, did not work. At thought maybe it would work, but it's not. The top was pretty lopsided. So to pull the sides, now I'm going to start to come in. Baby, and I feel what you were feeling in the clay here. It's like there's a bit of the clay that's really hard. You see that top? What do I need to do? Collar, correct. So this shape right here has has circumference changes, right? What does it say for you guys? How many do you need?
3.
At least 3. Okay. So right now I've gone out, that's 1. I've gone in, that's a third. Or sorry, that's the second. So I need to think about how am I gonna do the third? I'm gonna bring this top in even more. What is this called? There we go. You guys haven't seen me throw on the wheel before. So I'm starting to come in. Now that final thing I'm gonna do, is there a wooden modeling tool in that bucket?
No.
No? Is there one in that one? What? Is there one in there? Wooden modeling tool? Oh, it's this. Okay. Wooden modeling tool here. I'm going to use this to help. Again, I want this to be nice and wet. And I'm going to bring this out. So this is just bracing. And I'm using this instead of my finger because I have long nails. If you don't have long nails, you would use your finger here instead of this. And this tool, you see how it's curved a little bit this way here? The camera, it's curved. That inside curve is what I want to go right here. Some extra water on the inside I'm going to try and get out. All right, so now I have the shape. I've got 3 circumference changes, right? I went out, I went in, and then I went straight, right? Now I want to do some final touches to make it look as nice as I can. And I'm going to do that by using the sponge here. See how it's just making it like all nice and smooth everywhere? You can also use the sponge on the inside here as well. And if you push a lot on the inside, you can actually open it up even more accidentally. Okay, I'm going to show you that, and it may ruin the project. That might happen. Is it getting bigger? Probably also getting shorter too. But the shape changed. And look how much came off. More came off. top here. Clean the bottom here. And then with this tool, or the wooden one here, I'm gonna get the extra stuff off the bottom here. And as I'm doing this, I can see that it's, a little off center, but that's okay. I'm gonna clean the wheel off. The project is done now, I'm ready to take it off. Can you help me, please? I can't lift and move, but can you just take these and put them down on the floor? Yeah, just set them on the ground. So this one here is made out of wire. It's thinner, and we use this on more delicate projects and larger projects to cut for the bottom off. So that's why I'm using this. Okay, it's gonna go in between your first and middle finger here, and you just wanna flip over to the width here. Oops. Okay. So you're gonna go through. We'd wanna go all the way through. But I'm opening it up so you guys can see. Okay.